Hi, I want to talk to you about how to select a winning team for an internal corporate innovation initiative. This is something that is so important, yet so many companies struggle with. I work with very large companies in order to launch internal corporate accelerators where their employees can use lean startup to rapidly test and iterate and launch a new product or service. And boy, do I tell you, it is so important to get the right people on those teams. In fact, studies have shown that 23% of startup teams fail due to having the wrong team. And I'm going to argue that the same statistic holds true for corporate initiatives. So that leads to the question, what makes a good team? Well, I'll tell you there are two things. The first is you need to have the right skill sets on your team. That's a hacker, a hustler, and a hipster, designers. We had one team that was just 2 hustlers, 2 MBAs, and $400,000 later, they still did not have a working prototype. You have to have the execution skills embedded on the team. You also need the right mindset, and 80% of that is ownership. You need people who are going to take the project and own it as if it's their own company. And you know who these people are. You can look at track records. Who do you have to hold their hand, and who can take an idea and run with it? The other 20% is a never give up. We're laying down a new way of working in an organization with lean startup. So by definition, these teams are going to run into resistance. And so in effect, what we're looking for is, well, we're looking for the corporate misfits, the people that are already in a structured organization yet do not conform, the people that are going to keep pushing for their project and are not so worried about making everybody happy. Some of our best teams bring in outsiders to join the team. And these outsiders can add missing skill sets, they can reinforce the entrepreneurial mindset, and they can help the teams take off their corporate blinders of this is just the way we do it. So how do you pick the teams? Well, there's 2 ways. You can either hand select them, or you can run an innovation challenge. Now, there are pros and cons to each one of these methods, and which one you pick probably says more about you than the method, because they're both really good. But let me do a quick pass on them. Hand selecting works really well when you know the people you want. We had one company that just launched a corporate accelerator, and it took a political alliance of 3 different divisions to get it off the ground. And so each division said, I want one of my teams in, and they hand-selected their own team. Great, more alignment. A challenge works really well when you want to get the entire organization on board. And it is so true, entrepreneurs are everywhere. In one challenge we ran, one of the finalists was from the security division, and I'm not talking cybersecurity, and he was there because he had a great idea. It takes time, however, to run a challenge. We find it takes 3 to 4 months to run it really well. And if you spread the word far and wide across your organization, you're going to get like 200 to 300 applicants for it. And so we find a 3-stage process to evaluate. Stage 1, we're looking basically at portfolio fit and market size. I once had a really great team that had a big, bold, beautiful idea, but in the long run, they didn't get traction because they're focused on Africa and the rest of the organization is focused on Europe. Stage 2, we're going to be a little more diverse and look at all of the criteria and include described solution, how innovative the team is, and team. At this point, we have about 80 applicants in the process that we're screening. And then we take the final 10 to 15 and take them into stage 3, where we bring them in for 2 to 3 days. And we have an event where part of it, we do a round robin where they sit down with the executives and start to do a deep dive into who is this team. And by the way, when I'm talking about team, I'm not just talking about the entrepreneurs. It's also the extended team of the leadership and the ecosystem. Now, by ecosystem, I mean HR, finance, accounting, procurement, legal, all the people that are going to support the entrepreneurs. And you can have the best entrepreneurs ever working on the team, but if you do not have alignment with these 2, leadership and with the ecosystem, they're not going to be successful. Just at a basic level, to get people out of their jobs and full-time dedicated into an accelerator for 3 months requires all the oars rowing in the same direction. The teams also need protection. We're talking about early-stage startups with $0 revenue, and they're breaking every procedure and policy in the organization. That's not tenable unless someone high up is running coverage. The teams also need a roadmap. One of our best teams is now floundering because 6 months after the accelerator, they are back in their old jobs, have no budget, and have no mandate. And let me tell you, you have no more successful advocates for your year 2 program than successful and happy year 1 program participants. So just like we tell the people in the accelerators that you've got to build, measure, learn, and iterate your way to success, the same thing goes for your selection process. Your first year, you might not get it fully right, but that's okay. Keep iterating, and you'll get there. Thank you.